It began on a quiet Sunday evening, the kind of day where everything feels steady, ordinary, almost comfortingly predictable. My wife, Claire, had a few of her friends over for drinks and laughter. I was in the kitchen, grilling steaks and staying out of their way, the background husband doing his usual part. From where I stood, I could hear their voices rise and fall, the clinking of glasses, bursts of laughter, that familiar rhythm of friendship I'd grown used to. Then one sentence cracked to the calm like a bullet through glass. I'd leave my husband if I had better. It came from Claire's mouth, followed by giggles and a lazy, "I'm kidding." But I knew she wasn't. There's a tone people use when truth slips out wrapped in a joke, light on the surface, but heavy enough to hang in the air. I froze by the counter, the smoky scent of the grill turning bitter in my chest. My hand gripped the edge of the sink as her words echoed, looping over and over. If I had better. I'd been many things in this marriage. Patient, steady, maybe even dull at times, but never had I believed I wasn't enough. That night, I carried the food inside and smiled as if nothing had happened. Her friends laughed, sipping wine, and Claire flashed that polished, practiced smile she wore whenever people were around. No one could tell a fire was quietly starting inside me. After they left, she came into the kitchen barefoot and tipsy, still grinning. "You didn't have to cook so much," she teased, brushing past me, the scent of perfume and Chardonnay lingering behind her. "You meant what you said?" I asked, voice calm. Her smile faltered. "What do you mean?" "About leaving me if you had better." For a heartbeat, she was silent. Then came a forced laugh, a little too loud. "Oh, come on, Ryan. You're not taking that seriously, are you? It was a joke." But her eyes flicked away, the kind of glance people give when they know they've been overheard. I nodded, pretending to believe her. "Sure, a joke." She hummed as she walked upstairs, leaving me alone in the kitchen, staring at empty glasses and lipstick stains on the rims. The house that once felt like ours suddenly felt smaller, colder. Over the next few days, everything looked the same from the outside. We still ate breakfast together, exchanged the usual small talk. She scrolled endlessly through her phone, laughing at messages that weren't meant for me. At night, she turned her back before I could say goodnight. But inside me, something shifted. Not anger, not sadness, just clarity. If she believed she could do better, maybe she needed to see what life looked like when the man she took for granted stopped trying. So I did the one thing she never expected. I stopped being available. I stopped initiating conversations. Stopped reminding her about errands and bills. When she asked for help, I'd smile and say, "You'll figure out." When she complained about work, I'd simply nod. No advice, no sympathy, just silence. At first, she brushed it off. By the second week, the frown lines deepened. By the third, she asked, "Are you mad at me or something?" "No," I said evenly. "Just learning from you." Claire wasn't used to being ignored. She thrived on attention, admiration, need. Without it, the silence around her became deafening. Her friends still called, but even their tone changed, gossip turning to pity. One night, she came home late. I was on the couch reading. She dropped her purse, eyes glossy, and said softly, "You've changed." I closed my book, met her gaze, replied, "No, Claire. I just stopped pretending that being invisible counts as love." The next day, I saw her phone light up with a text of her friends. "He's acting different. Cold. I think he's done." She was right. I was. By then, disappointment had hardened into peace. I didn't want to argue or yell. I just wanted quiet, and silence can be far louder than anger. That weekend, she tried to fix things her own way. She dressed up, made small talk, complimented my shirt, laughed too hard at things that weren't funny. I watched her performance, the cracks under her smile. She wanted me to orbit around her again, to make her the center of everything. But I was already gone, at least in spirit. I wasn't cruel. I was just finished. One night, she brought up the past. "Remember when we used to stay up all night talking? You used to say I was your whole world." "Yeah," I said, and I meant it. Her face softened until I added, "But worlds change, Claire, especially when their center collapses." Her expression wavered. What's that supposed to mean? It means, I said quietly, I believe in us until you told people you could do better. Maybe you're right. Maybe you can. I just won't be the one waiting to find out. She stood frozen, blinking fast, as if realizing how a few careless words could unravel everything. That night, I slept soundly for the first time in months. The next morning, I packed a bag and left, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. I didn't slam doors or leave notes. I just set my keys beside her favorite mug, the one that said, "Best wife ever." By noon, my phone buzzed. "Where are you? Can we talk?" "Ryan, please don't do this." I didn't answer. I stayed with my brother for a few days. He didn't ask questions, just handed me a beer and turned on the game. That kind of silence men understand. No lectures, no pity, just space. By the third day, Claire showed up at his door. Her eyes were swollen, her hair in a messy knot, a far cry from the woman who once said she could find better. "Can we talk?" she asked softly. I nodded and followed her outside. The air was cool, the sky gray. "I didn't mean what I said that night," she whispered. "It was stupid. I was showing off, trying to be funny. You know how girls get after a few drinks." I met her eyes. "No, Claire, I know how truth sounds when people stop hiding it." She swallowed hard, tears welling. "I didn't mean to hurt you." "I know," I said, "but you did." Silence hung between us. The kind that comes when two people both realize it's over, but can't bring themselves to say it. "So what now?" she whispered. I took a slow breath. "Now, you get to find your better. And I get to remember what being enough feels like." For a second, I thought she might fight, scream, plead, but she just nodded, tears sliding down her cheeks. She turned and walked back to her car, her quiet sobs fading into the wind. I didn't watch her leave. I didn't have to. The ending had already come weeks earlier, the night she decided I was just a placeholder for something better. Funny thing, though, once I stopped chasing her, other people started noticing me again. Friends reached out, work picked up, old connections reignited. Turns out, when you stop pouring your love into someone who disrespects it, the world has a way of giving it back. A few months later, I heard she was seeing someone new, the kind of man she once said she deserved. But rumor had it he treated her like an option, just as she once treated me. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. Some lessons don't need applause. Because when she said, "I'd leave my husband if I had better," I didn't argue or beg. I simply made sure she never had that option again.